Okay, so this is the application we're gonna build today. So it's we're gonna create an Expo application and run it on Android. So I'm on Windows using Visor, which is an application that lets you mirror your screen. And then it's connecting to our backend, right? The application. So now it's listing the users from the backend, and you can create also a new user here. For example, some user, and then some password, and then submit. User creation successful, and then it fetches from the backend username, some user, some password, right? So it's connecting to the API, and that is what we're gonna build today. Okay, so here is where we stopped last week. So there's a client and a server, right? So the server is our backend, which has the user routes, which is to find our users and then to create a new user. And then this is our Next.js front-end that calls the backend, right? So has some methods here to fetch and then create and then displays it on the screen. So we're gonna do the same thing today, but using Expo. So it's mobile, right? So first thing is, when creating an Expo application, there's this thing here which I'm using. So is git bash, right? You gotta use git bash, because if you just use CMD, it has some weird errors during install and doesn't install correctly. There's version problems and everything, at least as of right now, right? And then you can run this command here, which is npx create expo app, mobile app, and then this is the name of the application, right? So mobile app, and then dash templates and expo template blank TypeScript. So this is the name of the template. It's just a blank template using TypeScript support, right? So you can just type this out here. Let me see, and then it should create. Let's wait a little bit for it to create, okay? Yeah, so it finished installing. So now, yeah, your project is ready. Just cd mobile app and npm run android to run. So what I like to do is, like, since is everything installed correctly, I'll first run my server here. So cd server and just yarn start. Yeah, server's running, and now we can test the mobile app, right? So cd mobile app, and then yeah, so I always like to use npx expo instead of just expo. I think this is the recommended way. So npx expo start, and then let's see. Okay, so you can either open Android or web. These days I like to use web, just to make things a little bit faster. And then at the end we can just test on the Android to see if it works, right? So then let's see. It looks like you're trying to web support, but doesn't have the dependencies. This command here, yeah. So we just run this command, and then let's see. Okay, install. So let's try again. npm expo start. Starting projects. Yeah, so it's opening here. Mobile app. So open app, app.tsx to start working on your app, right? So then you just go here to app.tsx, and then there's these things here. You can just change wherever you want. So maybe yeah, so our home page, I don't know, let's see. Yeah, so it updates, right? So now we can start coding our app. So probably the first thing we want to do here is I don't know, maybe this is called my Expo application, and then you have a view here. You can create a view, and then you can display some data, right? But what data? I think you can fetch the data from the backend. So for example, async function get data set, and then let's have a like a loading function, a loading variable here. Set loading equals use state false, then import use state. So then first thing we do is set loading to true, and then we make a call for the API, right? Here should be like the API call to fetch users, right? So for that we should create like a file here called api.ps, which can have a function. So export async function fetch data. You can pass the root here, so root is a string and returns a promise because it's async of any type, because I think we may want to use this function for every time we want to make a GET request. So try and then const response equals await, so we're gonna use fetch, right? So fetch, so what's our base URL for the API? I can define a constant here, const API URL equals, so I'll just put my IP address. So yeah, so to get your IP address, okay, so since we're testing web, I think we can just use localhost, but then if we use the mobile, we need to use the RP address, right? So RP address, you just to check it, you just go here to command and then you type ipconfig. So if you're on Windows, right? So ipconfig, then you look for the IPv4 address. So in this case it's 192.168.0.102, right? So I will put that here, but since I'm working with web, I'm just gonna use localhost 4000 for now, okay? So yeah, so try and then a catch here with the error, and then okay, so fetch, so this is gonna be a template string with the API URL, and then slash API slash root, right? So the parameter for the function, and then we get the data here. So we do const data equals await response.json, and then return yeah, so this little object, I always like to use it like this, so it becomes a little more clear if it worked or not, because sometimes you do return but you didn't finish what you wanted. So I just have a success variable and then a message saying something like successfully got data, and then the data, right? So yeah, so return that, and in case there's an error, I'll just console log maybe error fetching data, and then pass the error, okay? And then you just return the same thing, success variable, set to false, then the same message variable, and then a message like error fetching data plus error.message. Then yeah, this should be it for this function fetch data. Error, what's wrong here? Error, I think error has to be type any for now. I don't know what the actual type for that is, but I'll just use any for now. Yeah, so going back here to the app.tsx, you can import your fetch data function from the API, and you call it, right? So set loading, and then what is wrong here? Yeah, this is get data, so this is an async function. Then inside you set loading, and then here you do the API call, right? So try, so const result equals await fetch data, and then the root for the API, which is users, and then console, yeah, maybe a console log here. I'll just skip it for now, and then result.success. Yeah, so if my request has a failure success, then I just set the data. I'll have a variable here I need to define. So yeah, so loading and data, right? Data set data equals use states, no here, and just type it to any. Yeah, this autocomplete is crazy sometimes. So yeah, so if success, so if I do get the users, so I set the data to result.data, which is the users, right? So if you take a look here at my roots or controllers rather, so I'm just finding all the users and sending them back, right? So yeah, actually, yeah, because the success is done by this thing here. So if it throws an error somewhere, then you catch the error and then you set success to false. Yeah, that's correct, I think. So I just set the data. Then we also probably want an error flag here. So you get the data if you get it. If not, probably there was an error. You want to set the error somewhere. So I'll just do use state any and pass no here. And let me see, get data. Yeah, so if result.success, then set data and set error to undefined. So if there's an error before, now there's no error, right? Because you just hit success. So otherwise, if it's not a success, then you set the error to the result.message. Okay, so this message here, error fetching data will show up. Okay, so you set the error, and then here if the fetch data itself, I think it has an error in somewhere, you just catch the error and you just set data, so error in the request, and then you set the error. Okay, and then here you set loading to false. So it loading set loading to false, right? And then down here we can have a place here to show actually the data, right? So if it's loading, okay, so if it's loading, basically you should display a text like loading, right? Something like this. But if not, then you can display the data. So what I can do is a map over the data. So data, if there's data, then JSON.stringify. So data, I think we can start with this. And if there's no data, let me see if this is correct. So if there's no data, then just say data not found, right? So this should probably be wrapped in a text as well, because in React, in Expo and React Native, everything must be wrapped in a text, right? So then let's see. So view there, remove it from here, view here. Yeah, this seems to be correct. Okay, so if it's loading, just say it's loading. If it's not, then just create a text. If there's data, say the data. If not, then data not found, right? Then let's see what we get from that. So it says data not found, right? So I can maybe refresh that. We just press R. Okay, so this is correct. I'm not sure why it says data not found, because I do have some users here. Oh yeah, someone actually needs to call the getData function, so I'll need to add a use effect here, which calls the data function, and then just does getData. Yeah, so I import the use effects. Just to get data. Then let's see. Yeah, so it's loading. Data not found. So it's calling the get data, but it's not finding the data, I think, right? So let's try to figure out why. So if I just go here to console, error fetching data, type error, fail to fetch. So it's giving me fail to fetch. I think this is because we probably can't reach our backend still. So users here is probably, I don't know if it shows some error here. Let me see. Preview response, blah blah blah, headers. It seems it still can't reach the backend, right? So let's see why. So let's take a look at the backend. If you go here to index.js, yeah, there's a couple things here that may be wrong. I'll first try to allow it to receive from anywhere, right? So receive calls from anywhere. So since I'm using the 19006, it should be able to receive from that. So I'll just compile it again using DSC. And then yarn starts. And then let's see if we can run this thing here again. let's see what happens. So console, I'll just refresh the page. Loading, data not found. Still fail to fetch, but maybe we need to add to a server here the required course variable, right? So we can probably add here like a const allowed origins, since for web development usually it's more than one. Then we can probably put here HTTP localhost, so 19,000. So this is for is Expo for iOS and iOS simulator. Let me see what else. So HTTP 10.0.0.2 slash 19,000, which is this is Expo for Android. And what else? So HTTP / localhost, so 19.06, which is Expo for web, which is what we were using. And then finally HTTP localhost 3000. So this is our existing origin, right? It's from the front end. So now we can, instead of just this line here, we can do app.use and then course, and open here the curly brace. Then then have origin here, origin, which is a function, origin and callback. And then let's see, so if not origin or not allowed origins, that includes origin. So if this, then just say callback with no and true, right? So this callback here, I forget the signature, but basically no means there's no error, right? I'm not sure what true is, but it's just signature for the course. And here, if there's an error actually, so you just do callback new error, and then you say not allowed by course, and then you say maybe what origin it is that is not allowed, right? Okay, so this should take care of setting up course. So course is cross origin request. It's basically this feature from Express, which says what address can access your backend, right? Because you don't want anyone just accessing your backend in a private route. So only your front-end application usually can access your backend, right? So that's why there's the addresses here for the front end, for our front-end apps, right? So then let's see. Yeah, let's see if it works now. Let's first compile here. We need to do tsc to compile the TypeScripts, and then yarn starts. So it's running again, and then let's try refreshing this page here. Let's see what happens. Still data not found. Not sure why, but let's check, right? So users, yeah, still no response. Oh yeah, so I got a not allowed by course, localhost 19, 006, right? So let's see. So if I go here to the API, so it seems it's connecting, but it crashed the backend, right? So if I go here to the backend, to the index, it says 19.006 is not allowed by the. So if, yeah, oh sorry, this doesn't have a not here. This is like this. If allowed origin includes, then call back true. And then let's try this again. So fetch, loading, yes, it's getting the data now, but it still says data not found, right? Let's check out why. So if there's data, show the data, right? Show data.message. Actually show just data. Yeah, so I just added here success in case of its success and failed, and I detected that there was a small typo here in the success variable. Well, that's why it's always returning false. But now it should be working. So yes, if I go back here to the, so it's loading, then it displays the user, right? But it's still good to map over this to make it shorter. So I guess it's undefined at some point, then it's breaking. So let's see, if data, then do this. If not, then just do data not found, right? Let's see. Yeah, works now. So then let's see, map, and then user, and then create an object here. Yeah, so username, user.name, and password, user.password. This can be any. I'll just add like parentheses. And then yeah, password. Actually, this is called username. So username and password, right? So I'm showing the users here, right? So I'll start adding now my form to create a user. So first, yeah, so first thing what I can do is create another view here, maybe. So this will be the form, and then yeah, a text input. With style, styles dot input, and then a placeholder holder equals username, and then a value of username, and then on change text equals set username. Yeah, so now there's a little bit errors there. So the first thing we need to add is probably the username here. So const username, set username, right? And then use dates, begins with nothing, and then let's import also the text input here from React Native, and also add the style, right? So the style input, so maybe border width to 1, border color to CCC, border radius to 4, let's say padding horizontal, then padding vertical to 5, and then margin bottom to 10, right? So then that should take care of our inputs. So then we need another one for the password. So then let's see. So this is called password. We have also, let's create another variable here. Const password, set password. Yeah, so this one here should be password and set password, right? Also probably need a button here, so button title submit in an on press, which call the function arrow name submit form. Okay, and then submit form. Alright, so then let's see how this looks. Maybe let's create this function first. So async function submit form. Yeah, so this creates a user, and then let's see how it's looking. Yeah, so it's a couple fields there in the submit button, right? And also the users here on top. So now first we probably want to add, so here is the list of users, so we can probably call this styles.users list. So we can add a margin bottom to it. So users list margin bottom, maybe 20 is fine. And yeah, it's a little bit of a margin there. And let's see what else. Yeah, so this function here creates a user, so it should call a function from the API to post the data, right? So first thing first, we need to create here a function to post data. So this will be called export async function post data. So root, which is a string, and then body, which is any, and then returns a promise of type any, and then let's see, try const response equals await fetch. So it's the same thing from above. Except it has some options here defined. So the method is not a get, it's actually a post. and the headers, let's say that the content type that we want is JSON, so application slash JSON, right? And then we should stringify the body, so we don't need to do it in the front-end code. So we just get a JavaScript object for the body, and we just stringify it, right? And then if we do get some data back out of the post, so I'll wait response of JSON. So if response.ok, that is if the fetch worked, then I check my success variable, so success, and if it's true, then I return success, true, message should be called request success, and then data.response, right? And then if not, then return success false, and then the message request failed, and then the data.response. So this success variable is the one I'm defining in my backend. So if I go here to the server, to the controller, you see that I always set a success message, a variable, and a message, right? So you know if it created a user or not. And I want to do this for all the endpoints, not just the user. But then let's see, catch error. Yeah, so if there's an error, then just console.log, or maybe console.error is better. Error submitting form, and then the error, right? So that should be enough. So now just import it, so fetch data and post data. So here I can call, I can make a try catch here, error, and then const response equals await post data users, and then I pass the username, and then I pass the password, right? I think probably don't need to do it this way. I can just abbreviate, and then yeah, so if response dot success, I'll just use an alert here because it's just a little bit easier. Alert success. So I'll say sign up was successful, right? And then let's import alert from React Native. So success, sign up was successful. If not, then alert error. Sign up failed, something like this. And then if you catch an error while posting the data, which is unlikely, but let's just say there's an error somewhere, then error in the request, and then the error. Okay, so now the submit should work, I think. Let's see. So I have a few users here. Oh, my Expo application actually should be called appll. Where's that located? Oh, it's just one P. AP. This is actually called application. And then let's see here. I don't know, whatever, something. And then, oh yeah, forgot one thing. After the login is successful, we probably want to get the data again. So it refreshes the our users list here, right? So let's say my name and then my pass. Oh, the type is wrong here. The type here should be, so this is a text input. So you can see this secure text entry. So this makes this field here be like this. So then let's say I don't know, Lucas, and then some number, submit. Yeah, it worked. Okay, so almost finished. We need to add here like a text aligned center. So yeah, this should fix our, okay, so now it's center the text, right? So also the alerts function from React Native doesn't work on the browser, right? So on the browser you have a normal alert JavaScript function. So you could do like a platform check. So if the platform.os is web, then just do a normal alerts. If not, you can call the React Native alerts. So that should fix the problem for now. So alerts, yeah, then the same thing down here with the other message, alert.alerts, and then here error, sign up, failed. And yeah, and that should do it. If I go back here, yeah, so the size of a mobile screen, right? So here you have a few users that I added, and you can add a new one. So for example, example user, and then some password, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. So yeah, so success, sign up as successful, and then you press OK, and then the example user shows up here. So yeah, so that's our simple Expo application that's connecting to our backend. And yeah, I think that was it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll continue this series. I'm not sure if with React Native, but we'll build on top of that, okay? And probably next class I'll go back to Next.js, I think, and continue from there. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.